Hi, this is Pam from My Way to Wonderland, and welcome to my first cooking video. Now, never done this before. I don't know how this is going to work out. We could end up with meatballs on the wall. But what different people have asked me to demonstrate is on my website, pamkaelin.com, I have a recipe for veggie burgers and meatballs and crumbles. And some people are a little intimidated by it. And really, it is not hard at all. Trust me. And I'm going to show you step by step in live time with no editing. The only thing I did ahead of time was I had measured out and chopped up and got ready a lot of my ingredients to save on the time here of the video. But this is pretty much going to be in live time for you. Okay, now the hardest part of this whole recipe might be one of the main ingredients here is what they call texture TVP, texture vegetable protein. Basically what it is, it's a product of soy flour, and I get it in bulk. This is how I get it. There's a million places on the internet you can get it. Bob's Red Mill makes it. I buy it in bulk for $2.49 a pound at a local bulk store. Health food stores carry it. Grocery stores carry it. That's the hardest ingredient you're going to have out there to find. Other than that, it's all regular ingredient. Oh, and I do have a special ingredient, which I'll talk about later on. But pretty much every ingredient's really easy to find. Now, how we're going to start out with is we're going to boil up. It doesn't have to be boiled. Get 3/4 of a cup of water really hot, and I do it in the microwave right here. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to take the texture vegetable protein, which I measured out. This is 1 cup of TVP. We're going to pour that in my bowl, and I'm going to pour the water over it right now, the hot water. I'm going to take a spoon, and I'm going to get all the water to start soaking that up. Just get that in there, get it soaked up. Now, the next thing we're going to add is I have, basically, this is the one ingredient I'm kind of picky about, the portobello mushrooms. Now, what I do is I chop them up in my food processor, my Ninja. I get them looking pretty finely chopped, like that. Now, it's basically a 1/2 cup after they're chopped up. But because mushrooms have a lot of water in them at times, and that can vary, I don't want you to go strictly by measurement. This is where a good food scale comes in handy, and you're going to measure out 1.5 ounces of the mushroom before you chop it up. So go for 1.5 ounces of that. Then you chop it up. We're going to add it to the mix here. If you haven't done so, according to the recipe, you want to get your oven preheated to 350 degrees. Make sure that's done ahead of time. My oven just beeped and reminded me that it's all preheated and good. Alright, so we got the mushroom in there. The next thing I'm going to add in is a 1/4 cup of chopped onion. Now, sometimes I chop it fresh, and I'll be honest with you, there's times I go to the grocery store and just get a bag of chopped onion. Whichever way you want to do it, doesn't matter if it's white onion, Vidalia, red onion. They all have their own little different tastes and that. They all add something different. But basically, I just, onions, white onions, fine. Next ingredient we're going to put in there is a 1/4 cup of egg beaters. Now, I use egg beaters, egg substitute. If you want to use a real egg, that's up to you. 1/4 cup of egg beaters or egg substitute. Sometimes I just buy the generic. Does not have to be egg beaters brand. No big deal on that. Next thing I'm going to add in there is I have 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now, I am kind of picky about my tomato paste. Me personally, I like to go as low sodium as possible. One of the best ones I've found out on the market is the Goya brand. So I tend to go for that for, I don't even know where my reading glasses are. Per serving, it's got 25 milligrams of sodium, and that's fairly low for the products that are out there anymore. I found with tomato products, some of them really do add a lot of salt. Personally, that's something I don't want in my food, so I tend to watch that. So, we're going to add the tomato paste in there. And then the next thing I add is I go for beef bouillon, and I go for the low sodium beef bouillon, the Herbox brand. Now, usually my recipe online talks about packets. Until recently, I could only get the low sodium beef in a little box of packets. I now found it in the jar. So I measured out 2 teaspoons, or it'd be 2 packets of the Herbox beef bouillon in a low sodium. We're going to add that in there. Next ingredient is you take Fiber One cereal and you grind it up. This is a great way to add fiber, and instead of adding, just breadcrumbs, which really don't have, in my opinion, a lot of nutrition, the Fiber One cereal works really good for that. And I have 2 tablespoons of the Fiber One cereal. Now, there's times I do get generics at times. There is generics of that out there. I can't remember the brand name of what Fiber One is. I don't want to go naming brand names in case I'm wrong. But I do buy store brand at times and grind it up. It comes in at the same nutritionals. I do compare that. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons of that. And then what I did was I have oregano, and I have some garlic here, some spiced garlic, and chili powder. You can get pretty liberal with the spices because of the calorie content is pretty minimal on spices. So this is where you can get a little crazy at times. You can do more oregano or less oregano or more garlic, whatever spices you like to add. Add that in there. One of my cool ingredients I put in it is liquid smoke. This adds a nice hickory flavor to them, makes them taste more like a burger. I'm running a little bit low here, but the recipe, I believe, calls for a tablespoon. Let's look at my recipe. I'm not seeing it. I don't want to hold everything up. I believe it's a tablespoon for a single batch. I'm used to making a double batch of these at a time, so this is where I have to keep referencing the recipe because I've been doing it by memory. Now, my really cool ingredient that I found, the Torani syrups that people typically use for coffee, they make a bacon flavor. I know, but everybody's out there sitting there going, that's so gross. You know what? This is some awesome stuff for cooking. I use the bacon syrup in my burgers. I use it in chili. I use it in chowders. I use it in a lot of, even in quiches. And yes, it does add some calories. It does add a little bit extra calories than my original recipe for the burgers. But you're not adding in fat. And yeah, it adds a little bit of sugar. I will admit that. So for this, we're going to go with a tablespoon of the bacon syrup. Now, this is an optional ingredient. I have to buy this online. I don't have a local store that I buy this at. I go to Torani.com, and no, any of the branded products I'm talking about in this video, I'm not getting any kind of endorsement, any kind of free stuff. Although, Torani, you are more than welcome to send me a case of this. I do go through this stuff. They probably won't. We'll see. I need a sip of coffee. Now, what we do then is we are just going to go and mix it up. And you really want to get in there. I just use a wooden spoon. Don't use my Ninja or anything fancy. Now, the reason I even made a burger recipe in the first place was my daughter had talked about being vegetarian. I am not vegetarian per se, but I really do cut back on the amount of fat that I eat. So I was looking at the veggie burgers that are in the market in the frozen food section, and I really was not impressed with the amount of sodium that was in them and just with some of the ingredients. It was like, if I can't pronounce it, I'm not comfortable eating it. So I thought there's got to be another way. And different ones are made with different things. There's ones out there made with mushroom. There's ones out there made with TVP. There's ones out there made with, all kinds of stuff. I kind of came up with this recipe as a combination of looking at in the ingredients on boxes, looking at a lot of different things. Now, one thing I will mention, if you want to make more of a vegetarian type style, more of a vegan vegetarian one, and you don't want to use the egg, The one thing you can use as a binder is a tablespoon of chia seeds. You can get them at a health food store. They make a great binder in foods for thickening it up. I actually use chia seeds in my chili recipe at times when it's a little watery and I need it to thicken up and I don't want to add cornmeal or anything like that. So this is all pretty good. Now look at that. That looks like burger, doesn't it? It looks like I've actually made meatloaf out of this. And it tastes great. So what we're going to do next, let me move some of this stuff out of the way. Can you tell it's my first cooking video? Alright. The other thing that I am picky about when it comes to this, because we are counting calories and we're making a recipe here that's going to give us multiple servings, the one thing I do is I weigh out each burger before I put it on my cookie sheet. I really do. Each burger, we are going to weigh out 4 ounces. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I'll make a couple burgers and I'll show you how I make them in the meatballs as well. So what I do is I take a cup measure, turn on my scale, and basically it's about 1/3 of a cup will give you 4 ounces of the mix that we're going to make into a burger. So put that on the scale. Need a little more there. Little more. Little more. 4 ounces exactly. Bingo. So then what we do is we take it off the scale. We're going to form it into a patty with our hands. Yes, our bare hands. Yes, I wash them. This isn't tough. This isn't rocket science. You just take it. I want to make sure you can see this. Take it on the cookie sheet here, and I'm just going to form it into a ball, and then press down. And you just kind of cozy it up, knead it up, round it up. It's roughly, I don't know, it's about the length of my index finger as just a rough guide. A few inches in diameter, maybe about 3/8 of an inch thick, something like that. Alright, go for another one. Put it on the scale. There's 3 ounces. We just need a little more. 3.6. 4 ounces, bingo, exactly. Now typically, one recipe, the way I have it on the internet there, will give you 4 burgers basically. Now, I mean, you got to take a lot of factors into consideration. Don't freak out if your last burger comes in at 3.6 ounces or something. No big deal. Or if it comes in at 4.3, all right, no big deal. Okay, so now we have 2 burgers there. Now, I'm going to show you how you can make them. You can make a whole batch or a part batch into meatballs. And what I'll do is I'll take an eighth of a cup measuring cup, which comes out to 2 tablespoons. Real easy. You're going to take it, you're going to pack it in, and you're just going to dump it out, and boom, you got the perfect meatball. So we'll make about like 4 meatballs. You can use this recipe in a lot of different ways. You can make the burgers and then crumble them up and make them into, put them in tacos. You can put it in my bean chili. You can add burgers to that. I put them in wraps. I put them as a topping on pizza. Basically anything you're going to use a burger for, you can use these for. And I like these, a lot better. I want to tell you something. My son is the pickiest eater alive. I swear to God, when he was a little kid, my ex-husband used to have to almost put him in a headlock to eat vegetables, and that was really embarrassing one Thanksgiving in front of my ex-mother-in-law. And she said, "Does he ever eat vegetables?" And no, I really had a hard time getting him to eat vegetables. So he's not big on the whole vegetarian thing. And up until recently, his diet consisted of basically fast food burgers, fast food cheeseburgers, and a lot of fast food and junk, almost literally every day. He's 27 years old. And when he tasted these for me, he looked at me and he said, "These are not meat." And I said, "No, it's not meat." I said, "These are vegetarian." That's, I didn't want to get into the whole TV pay and stuff like that, because he'd probably look at me and go, "What the heck is that?" And yeah, I did come up just a little bit short here. I should have had one more meatball. Okay, end of the world. The Mayan end of the world's not going to happen because of it. No big deal. But he now prefers these to actual beef burgers. And I'll tell you what, when I'm buying the TVP in bulk at $2.49 a pound and making these burgers up, yeah, it takes a little bit of time, but it's actually cheaper than if I went out and bought really lean ground beef. These are so much better for you. They're better tasting. Like I said, I've used them. We've eaten meatball sandwiches with them, and after a while, I honestly forget that what they really are. They taste like meat to me. Then what you're going to do is we're going to pop that in the oven, and you are going to bake them at 350 degrees. A tray or a single batch goes in for about 45 minutes at 350 degrees. And what you're going to come out with when they come out of the oven, this is what the burgers are going to... I'm still used to the camera here. This is what the burgers are going to come out looking like. They look like real burgers. They taste like real burgers. And you know what? Let me give you the stats here. If you use them as 4 meatballs or 1 burger, it's the same amount of stats here. Let me just find them here. Each meatball is going to have 35 calories. Let me just find it. This is so unprofessional. Da 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 da. I have it worked out for exchanges for, see, each meatball is going to be 35 calories, so 35 times 4 would come in about, what, 130 calories? You know what, check your stats on a veggie burger out there. They're coming in at about the same stats as a veggie burger out there and a lot less sodium. We're only talking 13 milligrams without the bacon syrup. You're only talking 13 milligrams of sodium in meatball, which comes out to less than 100 milligrams a serving in a burger. And I'll tell you right now, the veggie burgers out there, they're about 300 milligrams in the sodium alone. I really don't like what's out there. I haven't seen a low sodium one out in the market yet. Me, I gotta watch the sodium. You do what you want. I'm gonna put these in the oven, and from my way to Wonderland to your way to Wonderland, this has been the first cooking video, and I swear to God they'll get better. I promise. Now, don't be afraid to go make the veggie meatballs. Go buy your TVP. Go buy your mushrooms. Oh, use the mushroom caps. I don't use the stems. I use the mushroom caps. I'm trying to think of anything else. Now, you can always email me at... which email should I give you? PamKaelin@gmail.com. That's PamKaelin@gmail.com. Or now you can also email me at Pam@KimBenson.com. PAM@KIMBENSEN.com. You got any questions about it? You go to the website, check it out. Email me if you got questions. From my way to Wonderland to your way to Wonderland, let's make veggie burgers. See you later.